The NHL season is officially over, and this video hurts to make. But if I'm being honest, I started the script almost 2 months ago. What a crazy run to look back on. But the ending hurts. To go that far and be that close is something I may never be able to witness this team accomplish again. And this group means so much to me. So let's look back on this crazy run from the beginning. The Habs had a successful run in the bubble last summer, but I won't sugarcoat this. The run was led by Kotkaniemi and Suzuki, along with Price playing the best hockey of his career. We didn't have enough up front. We were relying on the young guys to be our best players, and Bergevin did something about it, but it came with a cost. The first move of the offseason was trading away my favorite forward, Max Domi, to the Blue Jackets for Josh Anderson. When this trade happened, I hated it. And I'll get more into how I feel now later in the video. Bergevin wasn't done there, going out and getting Jake Allen from St. Louis and Joel Edmondson from the Canes to help Carey Price and the Blue Line for hopefully another deep run in the playoffs. But the biggest offseason splash for the Habs was Tyler Toffoli, who served as the one that got away for the Canucks and was a diamond in the rough for the Canadiens. And they made one final move from there, perhaps the most important. Corey Perry, the only veteran addition that the Habs can say they needed. And with a new look lineup, the Canadiens were ready for the regular season. There was a lot of hype heading into the year for Montreal, and I get chills thinking about this part of the season again. Their first test was the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team that on paper was way better, but Montreal went pound for pound with the favorites and made a statement in the North Division, an overtime loss, but Montreal played great in this game and excited a lot of people. And that performance was led by Josh Anderson, making that look like an outstanding trade from Bergevin. The Habs then went to the west coast of Canada and caught fire, looking like the best team in the entire league against Edmonton. And then Vancouver was a whole nother story. Tyler Toffoli was playing like he was McDavid. Price and Allen were perfect, Ben Sherratt was still taking puck-over-glass penalties, and the Habs were at the top of the league. And honestly, one night I sat there and I thought, wow, the Habs could make the finals. They could go deep and maybe even win it. Claude Julien was leading something special, until it crashed. Roster changes and injuries led to a downward spiral for the Habs, and Bergevin made the change. Julien out, Dominic Ducharme in as the interim head coach. It obviously wouldn't change right away. The power play, though, found a new level. Alex Burrows took over for Kirk Muller and switched up the lines. Petrie and Suzuki seemed to be struggling, so Burrows saw a guy that could make an impact. Jesperi Kotkaniemi. They put out KK on the power play, and he became a whole new player. Seeing number 15 run the half wall was a treat to watch all year, and it seemed like the Habs had finally fixed their biggest problem for years. And they were getting chances 5-on-5 too, controlling their entries, making quick passes, and the Habs from the start of the season were coming back. The month of March kept Habs fans optimistic, even while the team was shut down due to the virus. Because of the future. 2 words that could bring a smile to any Habs fan's face was Cole Caulfield. The Habs' first-round pick in 2019 was destroying the NCAA with 30 goals in 31 games and running away with the Hobey Baker Award. Cole was for real. And on March 27th, the Sniper signed his entry-level contract. To say Habs fans were excited would be a drastic understatement. But with all the good came a lot of bad for the Habs all at once. In early April, Brendan Gallagher suffered a hand injury after getting hit with a shot from blue liner Alex Romano. Bergevin attempted to be busy at the deadline, starting with a trade for Eric Stahl, and then adding John Merrill and Eric Gustafsson to the back end. Why? Well, because he could. But the Habs lost a much more reliable D-man to waivers that day, Victor Mete, which was the final straw for me defending Marc Bergevin going forward as the Habs GM. In the middle of April, the bad got worse for the Canadiens, as Carey Price went down with an injury. Thankfully, the Habs had a reliable backup in Jake Allen to keep Montreal in a playoff spot. On the 26th, Cole Caulfield would make his NHL debut after 2 games in Laval where he scored 3 goals, and it was time for Caulfield to shine in the show. Nothing came out of his debut, but just a few days later, Cole Caulfield arrived, scoring the OT winner in back-to-back games and showing that he could play in the NHL. But let's pause from the season story for just a second to talk about something a little more important and serious. Jonathan Drouin. On April 28th, Drouin stepped away from hockey to focus on his personal life. Drouin had a lot of pressure, obviously, being a Quebec-born player playing in Montreal. Every kid from that area dreams of wearing the Bleu Blanc Rouge one day. But it comes with added expectations from the media and the fans. If it was the last time we would see Drew in a Habs jersey, thank you. We love you and wish you the best, whether it's here or not. Back on track, the Canadiens were missing one of their best forwards, their goaltender, and the leader. The team continued to push. Anderson was struggling, as many others were, but 2 guys that stayed consistent throughout most of the season were Tyler Toffoli and Corey Perry. Perry was the veteran, as I said, that the team needed, and Toffoli was at the top of the scoring race all year. They helped Jake Allen hold down the playoff spot for Montreal, who was getting a big boost going into the playoffs, getting Carey Price, Shea Weber, and Gallagher back. But unfortunately, no Romanov, Caulfield, or Kotkaniemi for Game 1, which somehow the Canadiens won, led by an outstanding performance from Carey Price and a shorty from Paul Byron. But the Leafs caught fire, tying the series and sending it back to Montreal, when Cole Caulfield finally entered the lineup. He took a while to make an impact as the Leafs were all over the Habs, taking a 3-1 series lead, when in Game 5, the Habs got a little help from an old friend. Alex Galchenyuk gave the puck to Caulfield in overtime, Cole to Nick, and the Habs had life. Game 6 was dominated by the Leafs in the late stages and in overtime, but the return of fans to the Bell Center helped fuel an OT win off the blade of Jesperi Kotkaniemi. And in Game 7, the Habs were dominant all the way through, and had a date with Winnipeg in the second round. The Jets series had the tone set early with a pair of goals by the Habs in the first 5 minutes of the game, and the momentum led them all the way to Game 4, up 3-0 on the series, heading to overtime, where it was Clutch Caulfield who was the hero once again, setting up Tyler Toffoli for the game winner, and the Canadiens were the kings of the North. At this point, I started having the same belief that I did at the start of the year. I knew that they could beat Vegas. That series was such an unforgettable experience, an amazing thing. Cole Caulfield became the Habs' best player, and they won when Price wasn't even playing his best hockey. They beat a Vegas team that many said would destroy the Habs, and went all the way to the finals. The end goal was so close. They just had to take down the defending champs. But unfortunately, the nerves got to the Habs. Between that and just bad coaching, the Canadiens couldn't get the job done. It hurts. Really, really bad. You have to think how different it would have been if Tatar was in, or Kulak and Romanov for the entire series, or even with Drouin or Victor Mete. The team could have been different, but even with players like Sherratt instead of Mete or Stahl instead of Kotkaniemi, I love this group. Things would be different, in the series, but I wouldn't trade this run for anything. Sure, the future is bright, and I'd love to have won it for Carey, Shea, and Corey Perry. But I hope they will be back here. But changes will be made. The expansion draft is just days away, and Montreal has some big decisions to make. They're likely going to lose either Jake Allen, Brett Kulak, or Jake Evans at expansion draft, and Seattle is going to be getting a great player either way. There's a lot of free agency moves, but the moves last year that were made, Josh Anderson finished the season with the same amount of points as Max Domi. I still think that trade was a win for the Canadiens, barely this year, but for the future, it's definitely going to favor Columbus. Anderson was a beast in the playoffs in certain games, but he was very inconsistent, and he was inconsistent all year. It's going to be interesting to see how he's treated next year. There was a lot of players that were playing through injuries in the playoffs. Toffoli was one of them, but Toffoli was getting very frustrating for me. I would like to trade him while his value is high, but also I want to see what it would be like if he gets one more run as a healthy player alongside Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure that you like and subscribe. This video took a lot to make. It hurts. I'm recording it the day after they got eliminated, so yeah. What a run. What a run. I had a lot of fun with this video. It took a lot of work, so I'll appreciate it if you guys could like the video. It helps the algorithm a lot. But I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. And go, Habs, go.